Hi guys, welcome back once again to the Fermented World channel. Today we're going to be looking in on the eucalyptus traditional mead. Now this was a series of 3. I did 3 meads at the same time, started the same day, roughly the same amount of honey. One had a little bit less. The other 2 are still going. Be quiet, Siri, no one cares. The other 2 are still going. Not quite sure why, because normally after 2 weeks, 7 to 10 days is normally the amount of time it takes to, absolutely annihilate the amount of honey that I use for them. So not quite sure what's going on there, but I thought we would today take a hydrometer of this and see what we're going to do going forwards. Now, I do have some of the honey that it was made with, which is Tesco's Finest Eucalyptus honey. It has gone up. It's a bit more expensive than what I used to pay. I paid £3.50 for each jar, and I used 4 jars. This will be the 5th jar. This one was £4.20, I want to say, but I'm just going to pop this in some hot water to help it to drip in if we do come to Backsweetening today. We're definitely going to want that in some hot water. It just helps it run a lot easier instead of having to stand there with the jar forever. So let's start by taking a hydrometer reading. Just get rid of the laggy band for now. Airlock can go in there because that's still clean, and we're going to take a hydrometer reading. Smells fermenty. And if it's gone dry, which it should have done because there's no air in the airlock anymore, we're going to add stoppers to this, which is sodium metabisulfate and potassium sorbate. And what that does is it just prevents it, without going into too much detail, it just prevents it from being able to ferment anything else that we put in there. So it's not 100% finished fermenting. It could go a little bit further. But like I say, it's not doing anything per se, so it has finished. So at this point, we've got it to the point of the density of water, which is 1.000. I believe that's where we're at. Yep, just at the density of water. So let's have a little taste. Not too much. And see where we're at. Nice. It's peculiar. It is dry, so there's no real sweetness there, but a nice, nice flavour from the honey. This started at 1.092. It's gone down to 1.000. So a quick check to see what the ABV is. Pageantly, it is 12.4. So let's make a quick note on the eucalyptus one. Today's date, 31st of the 1st. Here's what I found. Be quiet, Siri. No one likes you. I need to turn that audio thing off, man. It's bothering me. 23. 1.000. And what did I say it was? 11. 12.3. I'm going to put 12.3 because that's what I think it said. And I shall correct it later. So we've got a 12.3, which isn't bad. It's not high up there, but I do prefer ones that aren't as winey, kind of if you know what I mean. Certain level of alcohol, it starts to have a bit of a twang. I did a blueberry mead, which had no no twang because it was like just shy of 12. So we're going to rack this into some fermentation stoppers. This is the potassium sorbet. We use half a teaspoon, which is 2 of these because these are 1/4 teaspoons. In that goes there. Then we're going to crush 1 Campbell tablet, which luckily I bought some more because now I'm brewing all grain. I tend to be using quite a few of these. What on earth is that? Sure it'll be alright. Looks like it's stained. So yeah, I'm going to grind this down. The finer the better, as it makes it a lot easier for it to dissolve. And in it goes. No pussyfooting about. Bish bash bosh. We don't need them now. Might do later because I've got a red wine to sample as well. So yeah, that's in there. So now we're going to rack this off the lees and off the raisins. Which I will speed up because it's boring. And you've seen it 1,000 times if you're watching it. Okay, so that's that racked off into the fermentation stoppers. We're now going to add the honey, which we're going to be back sweetening it with. We're going to use a whole jar of honey, just because I've not really got much use for anything else, and I want it to be super sweet, like crazy sweet. Sweeter than the sweetest thing you've ever tasted. I've done a couple of traditionals where once I drank them, I thought, you know, I probably should have added a bit more honey. Although they were nice, they could have been better. So in with the heated honey, which should just gloop out now, and that will ramp up the volume to over the 5 mark. Now, there is a problem. This is going to dribble for a long time. So, I'm going to dilute it in some warm water from the kettle. Only a slight amount though, because we do not want too much heat. Just enough to get all the extra honey out of the jar. Now we're not shaking it up because we don't want to add oxygen to this. Although we've put in stoppers which will stop it from oxidizing, we don't want to risk it, to be honest. That's the bottom line. So I'm going to put that upside down. Dogs come in to have some biscuits, so if you hear scoffing and scratching, I'm really sorry. But now what we're going to do is we're going to mix that honey. Oi! Pack it in, you moomin! Now we're going to mix in that honey and the stoppers at the same time. Really? Really? Yeah. Mixing honey into a room temperature beverage can take some time, and we've got to do it really slowly as well. We do not want to add any oxygen. Although we've put in things that will prevent it from oxidizing, there is still a potential for it to oxidize. So we have to be very careful. Some people that brew would wait for the stoppers to take effect. I don't bother. If it ferments a little bit more before it takes effect, then so be it. It is what it is. So after we've mixed this in, we're going to take another hydrometer reading so we know what we've got that's fermentable, just in case it does start to ferment. We'll know how much of it fermented, and we can add that to the overall ABV. I don't want it to, start fermenting again, because I really don't want to have to buy another £4 plus jar of honey to flipping back sweeten it with. There's no point in putting cheap honey in if you've got one that's got premium honey in. If you fermented with the premium honey, you may as well buy the same honey again. Now that's not really getting all that dissolved, so it's going to take some time. So I'll be back once I've stirred all this in, just to save you the bore of me chatting crap. Okay, so that's sufficiently mixed in. At the same time as doing that, what we also do is we decarbonize it. So any carbon dioxide that's left in the beverage, we remove, which can give like off flavors and stuff like that. If left in there, because it's waste basically. It's the yeast's waste when it's fermenting, so we don't want that in there really. Now we're going to take a hydrometer reading and make a note of it, and this will allow us to first of all know how sweet it's going to be on the scale, and also it will let us be able to tell whether it's continued to ferment. So that's at 22. So we'll make a note of that now. Wherever they may be. Found it first time last time. So after honey, it was 340 G honey. The gravity SPGR is 1.022, which is okay. It's a reasonable sweetness. Let's taste it. Now I'm hoping it's enough, because like I say, I don't really want to have to add any more. Yeah, it's enough. It's not overly sweet, but there is a very nice sweetness. Yeah, definitely enough for me to warrant not paying any extra. If you want it sweeter, you bang some more in. I brew my own alcohol because it's just trying to economize. I mean, if you look down here, I have, oh crap, a hell of a lot of beer. I've got one from a local brewery. I've got some that was in a really old extract kit, and yeah, they cost me pennies, literally pennies. I could brew one of these traditional with cheap honey and it's reasonably nice as well. It's not amazing, but it's good enough, for approximately about £3. That's what I charge my mates anyway when they want some. It's pretty much the cost of it. So, right, what we're going to do next is we're going to clean this demijohn, and then we're going to put it back into the demijohn. Okay, so we've got a clean demijohn now. What we're going to do is we're going to rack it off out of this and back into the demijohn without losing any or making a mess, hopefully. Just start it going, and we can speed this bit up. Seen it 1,000 times. Okay, so that's pretty much finished with this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a hydrometer of the other two that I did side by side. If they're around the same ABV as what this is when this is finished, or had finished, which was, what did we say it was, about 12.3. I need to confirm that really. But if it's around there, if they are around that ABV, then it'll be a great time to stop them and back sweeten. simply because I want them all to be around the same for the comparison. If you've got some that are higher ABV, they're going to taste different because of the alcohol content. So yeah, let's go sort them out. I'm going to speed those ones up. I'm not going to do those in real time. I'm going to take a hydrometer reading. Depending on what the hydrometer reading is and what the ABV stands at will depend on if I carry on doing anything else. So if this video just has this in, then it's clearly because they weren't even close to finishing, which they should be by now. It's bizarre that they've taken so long, considering they actually had more yeast in as well, because this one had less yeast in because it was the last part of the packet that I put in, and that's just the way it went, and it finished earlier. So jabba 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 jabba, let's go see if we can sort them out, and if not, I'll see you soon. I did say that I was going to speed these bits up, but I just want to take the hydrometer reading in real time, so we can get a clearer understanding. Instead of you reading a caption, you can get a better understanding of where we're at and what we're going to do going forwards. So airlock off. It's still clearly fermenting, but if it's around the same point, which I figured out was 12.4 on the eucalyptus one, if it's around the same, we will stop it and backsweeten accordingly to try and get it around that 20 to 22 mark that the other one's at, which then makes them approximately the same. Now I'm very surprised that this hasn't actually finished. It's boggling my mind. I can't figure out why it hasn't finished, unless it's literally the last few bits of residual sugar left. Okay, so we're at 1.004. Okay, so a quick calculation. This is at 12.9%. So we're going to stop it, simply because I want it to be around or as close as possible to the other one. If it goes any further, it's just going to go up and up and up. So we are going to rack this off out of the demijohn. We'll get the demijohn cleaned out. We're going to add potassium sorbate and sodium metabisulfate. We're going to add 320 grams of honey is the guesstimate that I'm going to try and get in there. Yes, so let's get this sorted. We'll speed this bit up because we've already seen it.